Hey there folks, and welcome back to Vigilance Talk. For this video, I just wanted to do a quick tabletop review on this Gen 4 Glock 22 I picked up at Sportsman Outdoor Superstore. It was a police trade-in, and I got it for about $400. Just do a quick safety check before we get started here. Just release the mag. Check the chamber, and we're good. Now, as most of you know, Glock is very well known for making reliable handguns, and this Glock 22 is no exception to that rule. In fact, many police agencies around the country use this handgun as their primary sidearm, and Glock really sets the standard for all new handguns coming out. I noticed, the majority of videos out on YouTube, they really have a tendency to compare whatever handgun they're reviewing to Glocks, and that just shows the high standard Glock set when it first hit the stage in the 80s. Let's talk a little bit about the features of the gun. In particular, let's start off with the comparison between this generation, which is, as I said before, is a Gen 4, to the Gen 3. So right off the bat, you'll notice that the texturing on this generation is definitely more aggressive. It's like these small little pyramids that are on this side, through here on the finger grooves, in here, and on the back as well. I actually like that. I'd prefer that on my handguns, and I definitely think it's an improvement over the Gen 3s. One of the other new features on this generation is the adjustable back straps. This particular one is a large back strap. I think that was a great improvement by Glock, as they were kind of falling behind since the Smith & Wesson M&Ps and a couple other models that were coming out all had adjustable back straps, so that was definitely something that was good that they got into. You'll also notice that the magazine release over here, the button, is a lot bigger than it used to be, and I think that's a great improvement because the old ones were like half, maybe a third of this size. So that's another good thing. I believe that the slide has a nitrided finish, although I'm not 100% sure about that. I think another major difference you should note is that you can actually take this magazine release button and switch it over to the other side, which is good for left-handed shooters. Now, you'll see when I actually break down the gun that the gun's recoil spring is also different, as a dual recoil spring, which is supposedly supposed to help with increasing the life of the gun. I'm not 100% sure about that, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And that's pretty much it. I think that's basically the gist of it. Standard Glock basically. Other than that, it should be noted that when I purchased this, as I said at the beginning of the video, it's a police trade-in, and it came with night sights, and these night sights, I'm not sure if you can see them on camera, but they still got, and you probably can't see them that well, but they still have some pretty good glow to them. And for $400, I can't complain. And really, another thing to note was that there wasn't much wear on this gun, not even on the barrel. In fact, the little wear that you probably may or may not see here was done by me in my shooting. Me shooting the handgun, I should say. And, there's wear on the sights themselves because this gun's been holstered. And the only other thing I noticed was this back plate was a little bit cracked, so I replaced it with this back plate with the American flag. I just thought it looked really cool. Now, the trigger pull on this handgun, you're getting about 5.5 pounds. So you pull back, and then a nice break. It's a little bit spongy, typical of a Glock trigger. And then reset, and there it is. So let's talk a little bit about the reliability of this handgun. Personally, I took this handgun to the range. I've shot about 400 rounds through it with no hiccups whatsoever, and I was shooting just cheap brass cased, like Perfecta, and the Federal 9mm, the stuff that you get at Walmart, Winchester white box, stuff like that. Again, it functioned with no problems whatsoever. I was very happy about that. And I was kind of expecting it, really. It was, just something to expect with Glock. Now, I should also mention another thing. The 40 caliber Glocks will wear down and basically be shot out a lot quicker than your 9mm. That's because the frame and for the most part the slide, if I'm not mistaken, is pretty much the same as your 9mm. Again, this is just the 40 caliber equivalent to the Glock 17, which is a 9mm. So does that make these guns not reliable? Are they, not good to have? No, they are. In fact, looking on forums and also calling Glock to ask them about, the reliability of this handgun, Glock said that they test these guns out to about 40,000 rounds, and the forums say that these guns usually get shot out between 30 and 50,000 rounds, and I think that's obviously a lot of rounds, and most shooters aren't going to shoot that many rounds anyways. So having said that, I don't think you need to worry if you do have a 40 caliber Glock. It's not going to break. It will get shot out quicker than your 9mm. In fact, I've heard that the some 9mm can go for hundreds of thousands of rounds without being shot out or breaking or whatever, which is very impressive. But again, you're going to still have a very reliable firearm. So I'm just going to show you quick how the gun's broken down. You release the mag. You're going to have like this overhand grip and pull back, I want to say roughly 1/4 of an inch. Pull down on these two levers. Let the slide come home. Pull the trigger. And there you go. The guts of the gun. Here's the dual recoil spring that I mentioned. Just take that out. Take the barrel out. And there is your field stripped Glock 22. Now to put it back together, you're just going to take your slide, put it in the barrel here, take the recoil spring and guide rod, push it in here, and it's going to sit down on this notch right there. Take the slide, put it on the frame, pull back, and you're all set to go. So from a prepping point of view, why should you get a 40 caliber Glock? Or, well, the truth is you really got to get whatever suits you. That's the truth. But one thing I would emphasize for preppers is look for guns that are reliable. Don't buy guns that are, super duper cheap. You just don't want to invest money in a gun that's going to end up breaking in the short term, after maybe a couple thousand rounds. That's not the type of gun you want to get. You definitely want to get a gun that is known to be reliable and just go with it. For those who like Glock, I think this is a great option just because if you look at all the police trade-ins, they're extremely cheap, and that's a great thing in my opinion. I really like that. One thing I would note, and I'm not trying to start a 9mm versus 40 cal debate here. I have a 9mm and I also have this 40 caliber as well. I like both rounds. I don't have a problem with both rounds. Obviously, I think the 40 caliber has a slightly more knockdown power, I guess you could say. But they found that with a lot of modern ammunition, 9mm is very comparable to 40 caliber, and the differences are negligible. Having said that, they're both great rounds, and I don't mean to start a debate here. I'm just kind of saying what I think. Now, during ammo scares, oftentimes what happens is there's not too much 9mm, and there's plenty, or I shouldn't say plenty, but a lot of 40 caliber on the shelves. And that's something that preppers should just keep in mind if they're looking for a handgun. I would definitely go with a 9mm. I think if you got that option, get it. But it might not be a bad idea to have a 40 caliber handgun, just as a backup, just in case, because you never know. In an SHTF situation, chances are ammo is going to be scarce. And, the reality is many law enforcement agencies and, the FBI and even the civilian market are really switching towards the 9mm. So that just means more 40 cal available. And just something to keep in mind there. That's all. Thanks everyone for tuning in to Vigilance Talk. Again, if you like what you hear, please like my video and subscribe to my channel.